What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the NG Models December 2025 releases. So when we got the hints out earlier this week, they actually looked pretty promising in terms of better global variety, and we'll go ahead and take a look at those. We have a grand total of 6 A350s, 1 737 Next Generation, 1 737 MAX, 3 777s, 2 787s, and a Comac C909. So just looking at the hints by themselves without knowing what exactly they're making here, we have a lot better of a global representation this month. We have Switzerland, we've got Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, the Philippines, the UK, South Korea, just to name a few. And there's definitely a lot more potential for this release to be good than what we saw last month, when it was only a handful of the releases that were non-Chinese. So hopefully that holds true as we look at the releases now on the NG website. Now I have to use a different browser because Chrome won't let me access the desktop site for NG's website anymore, because obviously their mobile website is formatted way differently than the desktop, and I prefer using the desktop on my iPad to actually see what the releases look like. So here we go. So first release, we have a Xiamen Air A321neo. This is the first Airbus for this airline. So there it is. Looking fancy. The artwork very much high quality here, so I do appreciate that. Then we have a Cathay A350-900 for Cathay Pacific. Not too bad there. I was kind of hoping it would be another carrier, but Cathay isn't too bad. Then we have a Xiamen Airlines 737-700. This is in the older livery. They've done a handful of those in the past. And then here's another one in the older livery for the 738 this time. And then there's another Xiamen Air aircraft. I have a feeling that this is going to be a release where they threw in a bunch of stuff last minute. This is just what they do. But here's the current livery one for Xiamen Air. Then here's the Qatar 777-300ER. We've got a standard livery this month. Now I know that they have the UEFA Champions League one, the blue livery, but this one's not it. This one's another livery. It looks like some sort of soccer player. Paris Saint-Germain, I believe is how you say that. And then China Southern 777-300ER. This is the first registration that they got, Bravo-209er. And then there's another one down below, just with a different registration. I'll have to check to see which one I saw in New York, because I saw one of those there. So if it's a matching reg, I might consider. And then here is World Skills 2022 Shanghai, China Southern 222. Very colorful livery. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. And that's just the nature of a lot of those special liveries from over there. Then we have a Korean 789. Here's one in the new livery. I know a few who were hoping it would be in the old livery, but hey, I think a newer livery is just more relevant, and maybe they'll circle around to do the older livery. Comac C909. This looks like an NG Lite based on the lack of detail, and that would be the case. And there's also a C919 as well, house livery, with the blank. Now, they've done a couple of these in the other scales, so now they're finally getting to the 400 side of things. KLM 789, this one without the crown. I believe this is the KLM Asia, the revised branding that they're putting up over there. So no crown for this one. Here's our sole U.S. registration. This is what I expected it would be, the 737 MAX 10 house livery. So if you are a U.S. collector, this is not going to be a great release for you. Now, if I can close out of that, there we go. Here's the other KLM. This is the standard livery, but with the updated blue swoop, where it swoops down much further on the nose cone. So that's looking nice. Then we have a Hainan A330neo. This is the first one that they got. Looking great. Again, appreciate the artwork getting of higher quality now. Then we have the Swiss A350. This is the standard livery, and is also an Ultimate Collection, so you got a nice option there. And then there's a standard livery. I don't know why the artwork is such a low quality there. And then here is the Wunderlust example. This is the special livery put on the first A350. There's a lot of stuff happening here. I've not really looked at this livery up close, but there you go. There's some of the details that you can see on it. Looks pretty nice. There's a lot of red, a big red hue to it, obviously to match the Swiss branding. All right, so continuing down, there is an Ultimate version as well. Now I got some Singapores in here, A350s, which is what we were hoping to see last month, but they got pushed back for whatever reason. But now we have them here. And then there's a second one. These two should be the standard A350 variant, and then we should have, yep, we've got the ULR. I was expecting that they would do one of these, and it's the first registration, Niner Victor Dash Sierra Golf Alpha. Exterior-wise, they're not too different, but obviously on the interior, I think the lowest class that they have is premium economy on these things. They don't have standard economy. And how about this? Air Greenland sneaking into the release, A330-800 Neo. Oscar Yankee was not in the hints, nor were there any A330 Neos, but that's just the nature of the beast. Here's British Airways. We've got Golf X-Ray Whiskey Bravo Mike. I believe we should have the other regs, and we do. Here is Bravo Kilo. And again, the photos take forever to load on this thing. There we go. And then we also have Bravo Alpha to go with that. So not too bad for British Airways. Good to see them popping up as well. Then we got China Airlines, A350-900. This is the carbon fiber livery with the A350 branding. They made a slight modification to the artwork recently, so that's good that they caught that error. And then here's an Ultimate Collection release, though not distinguished on the artwork. And then there's another China Southern. Here's a 333 with the same World Skills Shanghai livery from 2022. Then a C919 for China Southern. Looks like a special livery here of some sort. There's a bit of a green, red. It's kind of a multicolor hue in the background. GAC Trumpchi. Not sure what that is, but there you go. And then we have a Korean Air 333 in the new livery. Looking great. They have just the ERs in the new livery. I don't know if they're going to paint the non-ERs in the new livery. I don't know what their plans are with that, but that'd be nice to see one of those in this new livery. And then we have another one, but this is the first 333 that got painted into the new livery, Hotel Lima 8008. And then China Eastern, Comac C909. This is what used to be the ARJ 21-700, but went under a rebranding to be in better alignment with their other aircraft, the C919. And here's a second one with a different tail number. And a third one as well, but this one has ARJ 21-700 titles, whereas the first one had the C909 titles. Air China as well making an appearance. So you got a couple of those. The second one, of course, just with a different tail number, so plenty of options in terms of tail numbers. And then here's Comac. This is a Comac Express demonstrator livery for the C909. I have a couple of those as well, so we're doing a lot of the duplicates of this. Here's a different demonstrator livery with some blue and green colors going. And then Korean Air 739, here's one in the new livery. Very excited about this for the East Asia collection, so I'll definitely pick this one up. I know HX Models has one as well, but the color looks a little too sparkly for my taste, so I do want to see how NG performs on this with the 739. And then you actually get a couple options. This one here was the first of the type to get the new livery, Hotel Lima 8248. And then here is, this is the UEFA Champions League, Qatar 333. Very nice blue on it, and they've got that red Formula 1. That one just took flight recently, and I know that one's been approved on the wish list. All right, so that is everything, and I'm quite disappointed that we don't have the Philippines A350 in this. So I'm guessing that one got delayed if it's not here. But I was really hoping that that one was going to be put out there. But unfortunately, we don't have that. But overall, just looking at what we did get for this month, this is definitely a big step up compared to what we got last month. And I'm just at least happy that they actually went ahead and put more emphasis on global diversity. So really happy that we didn't get just all aircraft from China. There's obviously a big chunk of those in there, but I'm at least happy with the fact that we did get some other countries represented. Hong Kong, Qatar, Switzerland, the Netherlands, the UK, Taiwan, South Korea. Those are really the only other ones. And then the U.S. with their lone release, that MAX 10 house livery, which, again, if you collect solely U.S. planes, this is going to be a release you're going to forget about in like a month's time. Probably right by the next release, to be totally honest. But just looking at it from a global perspective, I'm definitely happy with this release being better than what we've seen previously. And hopefully this means that 2026 will be sort of better for NG, because we need better releases from them. They've got best molds on the market for a majority of what they have, and the way that they've just been using them for many collectors is just not what they're expecting. And especially if we look back at releases from 3-4 years ago, we saw what they were doing. We know what they're capable of. We know what they can do. So the fact that they've regressed in this manner is why collectors are so frustrated with the way that they're running things right now. Now, obviously, there's a lot of external factors that are at play, whether it's, for U.S. releases, the lack of them as a result of the tariffs from earlier in the year. I've also heard possibility that they were bought out by some sort of private investor, and they're just dictating all the releases, and probably why we're seeing so many aircraft from China in their releases, just to try and maximize profits, and not so much of the international stuff. But at least for this month, we're definitely on the right track for a better overall global representation. Now, obviously, as a U.S. collector, I would want more U.S. releases, but I also understand that other regions around the world, other collectors from around the world, want to be represented too. So that's why I want to have NG strive for more global representation rather than just having more planes from this region like the US or Europe or whatever. The Europe stuff isn't too bad with the British Airways, and then if you want to count the Air Greenland in there, you can, but I think that's more so part of North America. But either way, I'm very happy to see that they at least threw in a couple of the last-minute releases just to try and keep things unpredictable. But the hints, I think the hints are a little pointless, because if they're putting out all these future releases, then what exactly are we achieving here with those? Because, we're already going to know what the releases are, so I think they might want to consider discontinuing the practice of putting out the hints with these releases if they're going to keep putting out so many future releases. Now, if they want to slow down on that, then the hints can definitely continue. But with the way that they've been running things and putting out so many gosh darn future releases, they may want to consider just discontinuing the hints and just putting out the releases whenever they're all ready. So, yeah, that's my overall thoughts. I'm definitely considering the Korean 739 new livery, which reg I'll just pick at my discretion. And then everything else is just kind of up for grabs or whatever, just not really being considered at this time. But again, happy to see we do have the better global representation this month, and let's hope for 2026 we do see more of that as we move forward, because we know what they're capable of, we know what they've done in past years, so the regression has just been super frustrating to see, and why I've been so vocal about it. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.